Let me save you from one of the biggest mistakes people make with the NCLEX, taking it too early or waiting too long. I took mine about a month after graduating, passing 115 questions, and I'm going to show you guys what I used to study, how I studied, and what got me through the NCLEX and what actually worked and what didn't work for me. And no, I was not studying all day, every day. That will give you brain rot and you will never retain any information. So without further ado, let's get into the video.
And it goes a little something like
I really believe there's a sweet spot when it comes to taking the NCLEX. If you take it too early, you're burnt out, overwhelmed, and didn't actually review properly. If you wait too long, you start forgetting everything and lose momentum that you picked up during nursing school. For me, about a month after graduating was perfect. My brain was tired, but everything was still fresh enough to build on. I didn't use a million resources. I kept it simple, and that's why it worked. First thing I used was MarkK lectures or MarkK, not NGN based, but this gave me like a foundation of prioritization, delegation, and how to think. Next thing I used was Nexus Nursing on YouTube, which helped me slow down and actually understand what the questions were asking. I also used Level Up RN, and I used this for my weak areas, not to relearn everything, like my med-surg things. And I used also the ATI I had from school. It helped me, but it wasn't my main focus. Allegedly, the ATIs are harder than the NCLEX, so that's why I used it. But Archer is what I use the most. This is not a sponsored video, even though I wish it was. But that's what got me comfortable with NGN style questions, built my stamina, and honestly made me feel prepared for the NCLEX. So if I had to pick one thing to focus on, it would be Archer. My study routine wasn't crazy, but I was very consistent. I did about like 75 to 100 questions a day, and the biggest thing that I reviewed was my rationales, even the ones that I got right. That is my biggest tip: review your rationales. I wrote down my weak areas and I went back to review those questions and my notes or Level Up RN and Nexus Nursing. So some days I didn't feel like studying, but I still did something. Even if it was like maybe 10 questions, and that's what really matters. Is what's going to keep your brain going in that school mode. When it comes to the NGN, you have to stop thinking about memorizing everything. Start thinking like a nurse, like what's going on with this patient, what's their priority, what could harm them, all of the nursing questions to figure out the problem. And once I focus on patient safety instead of trying to get the right answer, everything starts to click with you. Like if you were going to nursing school and you're taking these tests and you're just memorizing it just for the test and not retaining the information, you may have a hard time with your NCLEX. So I would just advise, if you're using outside resources or anything to help you with your test, to make sure that you're retaining the information. Or I know I was making the Quizlets for my class, so just making sure, like, even though you're not the one making the Quizlet, maybe make your own Quizlet, because it helps you. There's something about like writing down, doing your own stuff that helps you memorize. So do whatever you need to help you memorize. I also made sure I had a whiteboard, and whatever questions or rationales I missed, I made sure that I rewrote those until it stuck in my brain so I could retain the information. One thing I didn't do, I didn't try to memorize everything. I didn't use a bunch of different programs, and I did not study all day every day. You will get burnt out very quick. I did not overstudy, because overstudying can honestly make you more confused. And I did not study in study groups for the NCLEX. So Lord have mercy. Study groups can be a blessing and a curse, like I said before. But I wouldn't recommend studying in a study group for the NCLEX. I recommend studying on your own and retaining your own information. Because sometimes in study groups, people can confuse you more than you understand. Like I remember like having a bunch of study groups, and sometimes we'd be more confused leaving than coming. So just make sure you're studying on your own, taking your own time, going at your own pace, and not, worrying about too much outside noise. It's okay to take advice from people that took the NCLEX seriously, but find what works for you. Even though I'm sharing these things, this is what I did and what helped me. I didn't do a lot of handwritten notes. I am not a handwritten note girly. I don't like to like highlight and do all those things. I did type my notes and color coded some of my med-surg notes for my harder classes. Like you can tell which classes were my hardest because they were my best note taking I ever did. So just that disclaimer out there. My final advice to you: consistency beats cramming. Focus on your weak areas, not what you already know. and stop comparing your journey to other people. You don't need to know everything to pass the NCLEX. You just need to think like a safe nurse. The NCLEX is mostly safety based, and also for your medications, it's not going to be like how you get tested in the ECPI or the ATI. Like, it's so weird. It's like, if I remember the question is like, a patient has so and so going on. Which of these medications would you not give the patient, or which medication will be best for the patient? It's not like, oh, what does this medication do? There's no questions, or at least I didn't get any questions like, oh, what does this metropolol do? It was like, what medication would you give to this patient? So really thinking about patient-based care and using the foundations that you used during nursing school to help you get to that answer. So hopefully that helps when it comes to the medicine category. As for mother baby, a lot of my mother baby questions were NGN questions, which I was thankful for because that was my bread and butter during nursing school. Like, I was going to be a labor and delivery nurse, so I retained everything there was to labor and delivery, and luckily that was on my test. I think I did get a lot of med-surg questions. The NGN questions like have like questions layered within that question, so I think in total I might have got like 6 to 10 NGN style questions on my NCLEX, and everybody's test is different, so I'm not sure. I don't remember. It's a blur. It was 2 years ago. If you're at ECPI or any accelerated program or any nursing program, just know it is possible. I did it in a month, and you can too. ATIs are harder than the NCLEX, in my opinion. And if you want me to break down what NCLEX test day is actually like, what I did before, during, and after, make sure you subscribe because that video will be coming next. Also, comment down below to help each other out, what you're using, what you're studying, and what you're kind of struggling with as a nurse student, so you guys can kind of relate to each other and help each other out. Cause I'm not like all knowing, all seeing. I don't know everything. So the more you guys comment and help each other out, the better for, you know, the overall bunch. And I wish you guys good luck on your NCLEX. I will see you guys in the next video on what you should have for NCLEX day and how to prepare for that day.